Hi, I'm Paul with Montgomery Real Estate at Keller Williams. Today, I'd like to talk to all you future homeowners out there who are thinking that you'd like to buy a house and maybe wondering how it works. If you're a seller, pay attention. You're going to find this information useful as well. Okay? What's the first thing that you want to do when you're getting ready to buy a house? That's right. You want to see a mortgage lender to get pre-approved, see how much you can shop for, make sure all your ducks are in a row. I'm not going to dive into detail on this part of the buying process. I created a video, it's on my YouTube channel, so go check it out and it'll tell you the best way to go about doing that. And of course, let me know if you need a mortgage lender. I have great relationships with some solid recommendations. Okay, so let's say that you're pre-approved with a lender. Say you got pre-approved for $250,000, you're ready to go shopping, we're out there looking at homes, and you find one you really like, and it happens to meet your budget, and you say, Paul, I want to buy this house. Well, then what? What's next? Well, your real estate agent is going to then write an offer with an official real estate purchase contract. It's a 6-page document, and don't worry about the literature. This is what I want to focus on today, but I'm just going to point out 3 things that are going to make your life easier when you get to this point. So thing number 1, negotiating terms. What can you negotiate in a real estate transaction? 2, earnest money deposit. What's an earnest money deposit and why do I need one? 3, we're going to talk about the contract deadlines. Okay, let's talk about negotiating terms. Did you know that you can negotiate more than just the purchase price in a property? That's right, and you've probably heard that you can negotiate your closing costs, because usually the seller will pay your closing costs in a transaction. And I usually like to ask the seller to cover a home warranty, which will cover your appliances, your your furnace, your water heater, any of that stuff. If it breaks down in the first year, you're going to be covered. Okay. So there's also repairs on a property. Let's say that you hire your home inspector and they find conditions to the property that you didn't really know were going to be there and you now want them fixed before you purchase. Well, we can ask the seller if they'll fix them for you. And if the seller won't fix them for you, then maybe they'll renegotiate a new price that kind of helps justify the cost of the repairs that you're going to have when you move in. All right? So you can see that there are multiple terms in negotiations with a real estate transaction. Essentially, anything's negotiable. We could ask for the furniture if we want to keep it. So this is a good thing to have lots of terms because it helps both the seller and the buyer come to an agreement that they both feel good and fair about. And then that's what we call a win-win, and that's how we do business. Okay? So let's say that we negotiated and we came to an agreement and your realtor filled out a really nice contract for you and we've got a deal. Well, now we're under contract. Once we go under contract, I'm going to have to collect an earnest money deposit from you. What's an earnest money deposit? Well, that's sort of like a rental deposit. It's typically 2 to 3% of the purchase price. So in this case, $250,000, you're going to pay $1,000 to $2,000 in an earnest money deposit. So make sure you have that money saved up before we get started. So you'll get that money back at the end of the transaction. It's going to go towards your down payment on the property. So you put it up front just to show that you're financially stable, and then there's actually another reason that it's in place. But you're going to get that money back, so don't worry about it. So why the earnest money? Well, it keeps both the buyer and the seller playing by the rules of the contract. Okay? So what rules of the contract? That's for me to know and to educate you as we go. But there are these things called contract deadlines, and there's 4 of them. I'm not going to dive into detail with what each of those contract deadlines mean. What you need to know is that from the time that we write an offer, and then you pay the earnest money, you write a check to me, and then that whole process to get you to the closing table where you're going to sign a stack of papers with title and get that property transferred into your name, that process is going to take 4 to 6 weeks, so be ready for that. Now, there's certain activities that need to happen in each area before the deadline in the contract. So if there's 4 deadlines, there's a certain number of activities that need to happen in an organized fashion, okay? So for example, let's take deadline number 2, the due diligence deadline. That's also referred to as your home inspection deadline. That's how long you as a buyer have to complete all your home inspections with the property. Let's say you did one, you hired your home inspector, and they found some things that you really didn't like in the property, and you wanted those things fixed. And you asked the seller to do it, and he said no way, and he wouldn't renegotiate a new price. And you say, Paul, I can't buy this house. It has a broken roof, and I can't move forward. What do I do now? Well, we can cancel the contract. We can cancel the contract, and you get your earnest money back, but only if we do it before the due diligence deadline. If we cancel a contract outside of the deadlines, then that's what we call default of contract. When you go into default of contract, you lose your earnest money, and it goes to the seller for the time that we tied their property up off market and the time that that seller entertained you as a buyer. So the same thing applies to the seller. If they cancel the contract outside of the deadlines, then they're going to match your earnest money, and then it goes to you. So you can see how the earnest money and the contract deadlines are all strategically in place to help both the seller and the buyer get to the closing table and help you both get what you want in an organized fashion and get to the closing table and then sign those documents and get that property put in your name. So, and then you get your keys and you get to move in, and happy day. Many different things can happen in real estate transactions, and they do. So it's very important that you have good representation from an experienced realtor. Somebody who knows these contracts inside and out, and if something happens, they're going to be able to protect you and your earnest money. Okay, so make sure you hire somebody who knows what they're doing. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and please contact me when you think of somebody that needs my help. Have a nice day.